a short COVID talk by my colleague, and I believe that we are now ready for the lesson. So our lesson for today will come immediately after the objectives. Now let's go through the training objectives. I'll go through very quickly as a reminder because we need to understand why this training program is being conducted. There are four main objectives of the training program, and some of you who write down, you may go through them together with me. The first objective is the acquirement of knowledge for enterprise development. The acquirement of knowledge for enterprise development. Knowledge that you acquire is power. Knowledge alone is not power, but knowledge that you acquire and utilize is power. That is what empowers you for enterprise development. So we have many topics. We have 24 modules. We have 24 topics, which are covered over a period of 24 months. And every month we have one topic for the new participants, another topic for the older participants or the continuing participants. These topics have the same objective. The first objective is to acquire knowledge. When you acquire knowledge, you are investing in the mind. You are investing in your thought pattern. You are investing in your information database so that you'll be enlightened in many things. You will have information. You will have a good understanding of certain areas. And that's why knowledge is very important. Everything that we see around us, whatever it is that we are able to see, whether it is in the business environment, whether it is infrastructure, whatever it is that we can see around us, it started with knowledge. It started with us or with the people that brought about those things by thinking about them, putting them on a plan, executing those plans. And that is why it is very, very important that we invest in knowledge. Invest in this business development training program is very important. It has helped a lot of people. Invest in specific knowledge about your field in business. So meaning that if you are in the field of agriculture, and agriculture is divided into many parts, and we'll be able to talk about many examples today. Whatever it is that you're involved in, you need to invest in knowledge. So objective number one is knowledge acquirement. Objective number two is employment creation. Kansanshi Mining PLC would like the small business people, the business startups, the micro entrepreneurs, the small businesses to also participate in employment creation, because the mining company cannot employ every Zambian, they cannot employ every person that is in Northwestern Province, they cannot employ every person that is in Solwezi District for one simple reason being that it is just a single company and the population is so big. So the mine would like us to join forces, that as we gain this business knowledge, we are going to have the ability and the capacity to expand those businesses and create employment. First of all, you employ yourself as a youth, as a woman, as a man, and then you can begin to employ others. So if all the entrepreneurs can employ one or two or three people, then we will be saying that we are joining forces with government, with the mining company in employment creation. The third objective of the training is business sustainability, the ability to sustain the business beyond the lifespan of the mine and beyond the lifespan of the entrepreneur. In other words, your business must have a posterity mindset. Your business must be able to go beyond the number of years that you are going to live as an entrepreneur. And that is very important because as you create that business empire, you are providing security for your children and your children's children, and also the citizens who can come and work in that organization when it grows in the future. Objective number 4, last but not the least, is business formalization. It is important to formalize your business because it will be recognized by the government. It will be recognized by the corporate world. Other businesses will be able to do business with you. If you want to go into exports, you must be formalized so that you can be given an export license. And there are so many benefits, such as accessing financial services from banks, from cooperating partners. We'll be talking about that today. And it is very important for you as an entrepreneur to formalize your business. The Business Development Training Program has seen a lot of businesses being formalized. We are proud to say that a number of them that are formalized are now doing okay, and they have affiliated with the Northwestern Chamber of Commerce. And we are still looking for registering more with the Chamber of Commerce. So those are the 4 main objectives. Number 1, acquirement of knowledge. Number 2, employment creation. Number 3, business sustainability. And number 4, business formalization or registration. So, dear learners, let us now go into the lesson for today. Today, we are looking at the topic resource identification and mobilization. This lesson is divided into 5 parts. The first part is the introduction. The second part is going to look at the types of resources. The third part is going to look at identifying and mobilizing resources. The fourth part, we'll look at how to mobilize resources for a small business. Very important. And the fifth part will be the conclusion. Now, we are extending an invitation to our development partners, the counselors. They are very important at this stage that government has released the Constituency Development Fund, and there are a lot of cooperatives, clubs, and small businesses that have been registered for the sole purpose of receiving those empowerment funds. And this is going to provide a form of training. So please, our dear councillors, invite your ward development committee members to tune in. Invite some of those cooperatives and small business owners that you know to tune in to 88.1 Beats FM. Follow us also on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Fortune World Investments Ltd. And we'll be sharing the link with many groups, as many groups as possible. Dear learners, let us go through together. We're going to really take our time in trying to explain this very important topic with my colleague for the purpose of you being able to understand. And at 9:30, we are going to open the phone lines, and we will ask you to give us a missed call. Then we can endeavor to answer the questions. Now, let us go to the first part of the lesson. We are looking at resource identification and mobilization. So we'll be explaining what these words mean. So in our introduction, we are saying that resources are the things and people that an enterprise or a business needs in order to carry out its objectives. So you need resources. And in this lesson, we'll be explaining what resources means, and we'll be giving examples of the types of resources, and we'll be applying them to your kind of situation. So resources are those things that you need, such as the people and the other things that are required for you to carry out your business objectives. Let us define resource identification. We have defined, dear learners, the word resources as the first thing in our introduction. The second thing in our introduction is resource identification. What does it mean? Resource identification means the act or the action that you take when identifying, or the act of knowing the resources which your business or your enterprise needs, or those resources that you identify that your enterprise or your business should have if it has to fulfill the mandate for which you set that business, for which you formed that business. So in other words, resource identification, let's follow each other, simply means identifying the resources that you're going to use, knowing them, what you need for that particular business. Okay? Again, I'll be giving you live examples of what you do. I'll be talking about examples in agriculture. I will talk about examples in processing. I will talk about examples in manufacturing, in construction, in the transport business, in the trading business, and so forth. I'll talk about small businesses that you are doing. I'll also talk about the small businesses that those cooperatives, clubs, women's groups, youth clubs that were formed to access empowerment funds will be doing. I'll talk about those. We are going to talk about those in our examples. So we have defined resources, number one. Number two, we have defined resource identification. Let us define resource mobilization. What does mobilization mean? Resource mobilization means making the required resources available so that you can use them in the business. It is simply that. After identifying them, after knowing them, the next stage is bringing them to the business, getting hold of them, putting them together. So resource identification and mobilization starts with the process of business planning. You first of all plan as a business person. You plan as a cooperative, as a women's group. The 20 of you in that cooperative or the 10 of you will sit down. You will plan what you want to do. You will plan how you will do that business. You will identify what resources are needed in that business. And then you will mobilize or bring those resources to the business so that that business can start operation. So in planning, you set objectives and you decide how you intend to achieve the set objectives. To this end, you identify and mobilize the various resources that are needed for that particular business. Dear learners, I hope we are following us. Let us follow each other. So that was the introduction of resource identification and mobilization. Let us now go to the next segment.
Thank you so much. The next segment is looking at the identifying the actual resources. What do we mean? What are these resources? When we start business, we want to go into business. What is it that we need to have in place? So the resources are actually, divided into 5 categories. They are divided into 5 categories. The first one is the human resource. Here we are talking about people, those people who are going to be actively involved in your business. These are the people who will be working. So this includes all human efforts. These people would either be skilled in whatever you are doing as a business. Others will be unskilled. Others will be semi-skilled. So all those are actually falling in the category of human resource. So all these, they include those also who are in management. The human resource is referred to as the driving force in an enterprise, as it is the only resource that can organize and utilize the other resources for production. I hope that one is clear. So human resource is very critical. It's important that you have this resource, because this is the resource which will use the other resources in order for you as an enterprise to do what? To achieve your objectives. The second resource that we'll look at is the material resource. What do we mean by material resource? This comprises all materials which an enterprise needs to produce goods and services. Here is a farmer. What is your material resource as a farmer? These are the things that you are going to need to use actually in your farm. You need the inputs. You need the seed as a farmer. After having maybe your human resource, who will do the tilling and the planting. But now you will need the fertilizer, you will need the seed. So those are the material resources. A builder, the one who builds houses, his material resource will include, the gravel, the sand, talk of the cement and so forth. Those are his material resources. Because without those, he will not be able to build that house that he's supposed to build. So that is the category of human resource. I mean, the material resource. Let's come to the third one, which is very, very important. The financial resource. Financial resource is actually referred to as the blood of a business. Just like a human being needs blood. Without blood, a human being will not be alive. You are dead actually when you don't have blood in you. So equally, a business which does not have money, which is the financial resource, it is as good as dead. Because This financial resource is the one which will pay for the human resource. It is the one which will bring in the material resource. All that is bordered on the financial resource, the money. So this resource is actually referred to as the lifeblood of the business. So without this money, dear listeners, your business will be as good as dead. However, we are not saying that you have to, for you to start business, you must have money. It's not like that. You can even start business without money. I think that is a topic of some other time. We are going to discuss how you can start a business without money. But it is very important that you have some money in your business, because without this, your business dies. We go forward. We look at the machinery and equipment. This is the fourth type of resource that you would need as an entrepreneur. This refers to all instruments and apparatus which an enterprise needs to carry out tasks of practical or technical nature. For you to build a road, you need machinery. So this is an important resource. We have had actually a good number of contractors who have gotten contracts without the equipment. And these have faced a lot of challenges. Many of them have ended up failing to actually meet their targets. They have failed to do a good job. It's because they did not have the necessary machinery and equipment. So it is very important that as you sit on your table, on your drawing table, you are looking at the business that you want to go in. You are saying, okay, I will need human resource in order to do this. I'll need materials. I'll need financial resource. I will also need machinery and equipment, and specify what type of equipment will you need. Because in road construction, there are so many types of equipment that you will use there. You have the graders, you have the compactors, you have the bulldozers and whatever. Those must be there. There is no way you can get a contract and embark on doing that job without this type of equipment. Gone are the days when we used to make roads using hose, picks, and whatever. No. This time you must have the necessary equipment. So find this equipment and have it. The fifth is land. That is another very important resource, land. Land provides space for our offices. That's where we build our houses. That's where our factories are. It's on land. If you are doing roads, you do these roads on land. You don't do roads in the air. No, it's on the road. So you are on the land. So you must have land in the first instance. And actually other infrastructure are all put on land. A farmer will need land. So you must have that land as a type of resource. Very important. Okay, so we have made mention of the types of resources. We have said there are 5. The first one being human resource, the second one being material resource. We have belabored actually to mention some of the material resources. Then we are saying the aspect of money, which is financial resource. We have talked of machinery, that is also a resource. And finally, we are saying land also as an important resource for an entrepreneur. Thank you.
Wonderful. Dear learners, we have looked at the first part of the lesson, which is the introduction. We have looked at the second part of the lesson, which is the types of resources. My colleague has labored to explain the 5 basic types of resources. The human resource, that involves the people themselves. And every business needs human resource. We have looked at the material resources that you need for that particular business. We have looked at the financial resources, which talks about the money. We have looked at machinery and equipment as the 4th type of resource, and we have looked at land. All these resources are very, very important, and we need to identify them and apply them to our types of business. So we'll be talking about them in a bit more detail as we go to the next segment. Let us go to the next segment, the 3rd part of the lesson. And we are going to move quite slowly with you so that you'll be able to understand. The 3rd part of the lesson is identifying and mobilizing resources. And I and my colleague will be able to take you through this lesson together. So to succeed or to be successful as an entrepreneur or as an enterprise, there is need to ensure that all the necessary resources are available during the lifespan of a project. Every project has a lifespan. Whether you are talking about, coming up with a garden, a vegetable garden, you are a small-scale farmer, or you are a cooperative, and you have a tomato project, a 1 Lima tomato project, that will have a lifespan. I know that some hybrid tomatoes, can take up to about 3 months of harvesting and so forth. After that, you have to remove the crop from there because it has outlived its lifespan. But every project has a lifespan. And before embarking on any activity, you as an entrepreneur or as an enterprise should give very serious consideration to the following. Firstly, resource identification. It is very important for that cooperative of yours that is involved in agriculture. Agriculture, for instance, is divided into many parts. There is what we call horticulture. Horticulture is the kind of agriculture that involves the production of fruits and vegetables. So you are in tomato production, you are in the production of fruits like pineapples, lemons, oranges. You produce vegetables, the English vegetables, the traditional vegetables like rape, cabbage, Chinese cabbage, lettuce. Whatever it is that you are producing in the form of fruits and vegetables can be considered as horticulture. That is the one type of agriculture. I invited you, the cooperatives, to follow this lesson because this is practical. Because some of you, your business plans are involving horticulture. Some of you are going to apply for funds to do grain farming. So you're going to do maize production. You're going to do soybeans production. They're going to do sunflower production and many other grains, millet, sorghum, on a larger scale, because you're a cooperative and you're saying, we are going to cultivate a 20-hectare piece of land, and we are applying to the council to give us a loan of 50,000 kwacha. I'm just giving an example. So there are those in horticulture, there are those in grain production, and some of you are going to specialize in fish farming. Fish farming, a very lucrative space which has not been very well utilized or very well exploited in the province. So others are going to have fish ponds, and you're going to stock fish in your ponds, or you're going to stock fish in your cages. And that is another area in agriculture. Another area is agroforestry. You have trees, and instead of cutting down the trees, you will put beehives because you want to produce honey. Very good business opportunities in the province and in the country. Others are in livestock production. Some of you are going to say, we're going to go into massive poultry production. You'll be keeping layers, the hybrid layers. Others will be keeping the traditional village chicken layers. Others are going to go into duck production. Others are going to keep goats. Others will keep cattle, dairy cattle, beef cattle. Others are going to keep pigs, and so forth. So all these are opportunities in the agricultural space. I'll talk about the other sectors as we go on. So, under resource identification, we are saying that as a business, you need to understand the task that you're going to perform in this type of business that you want to do. That is why you need to be able to have that skill and ability to identify the resources that are needed in horticulture, in grain farming, in fish farming, in agroforestry, in livestock production. You need to have that understanding. Understand the tasks to help you to identify the right resources in the appropriate amount and quantities. So that is very, very important. So under identifying and mobilizing resources, we are saying the first thing that you need to do as a small business person, as a cooperative, as a women club, as a youth club, the first thing you need to do is to identify the resources, identifying the required resources for that project that you need to do.
Thank you so much. Now that we have identified our resources, we know what resources we need. This issue of identifying resources is done at planning stage. Okay? So you, as the cooperatives, wherever you are, when you went into trying to form a cooperative, you had to decide what was your vision. What is it that you want to do as a cooperative? We want to go into farming, horticulture. Then you sat down now to identify how much land are we going to use. Then you looked at the resources now. What will we need? That is the identification of resources. Having identified those resources, now you need to mobilize them. Mobilizing resources is actually bringing those resources together so that they are readily available for you to start your project. This requires a strategy in order to ensure that all required resources are mobilized successively and at the right time. They should be the right quantities at the right time in order to achieve desired results. So Resource mobilizations actually is a process of bringing these identified resources together so that they are readily available for you to start your project. Now, we go to our first resource. This first resource that we mentioned is the human resource, the people who will work. This actually depends on what type of activity or what type of project that you want to go into. Then you will know the type of people that you need. The first question that you will ask yourself is, what type of workers would we need? Are they available in that area? Are they readily available? Will I be able to find this type of resource? You remember we did mention that there are three types of human resources. You have those who are skilled. You have the semi-skilled and the unskilled. Now you look at that type of resource. Do you have it available in the area where you are going to operate from? Or are you going to import them from somewhere? Then if you are going to import them from somewhere, you have to look at the financial aspect of it also, the cost of bringing these people from somewhere. Okay, what type of organization structure are you going to need in your project? The organization structure, you need the manager there, you need the assistant managers. Do you need even the managers who will be doing, the sales managers? Is it those who will be doing advertising and so forth? That is a structure that you will have to come up with. You need such a structure. A farmer will have a different structure from a manufacturer. Okay, they may have a chain of managers and supervisors in one particular enterprise that you are going into, as opposed to another. Okay, so you have to come up with these structures going by what you will be doing in your project. Then you ask yourself again, what is the cost of labor in the area where you are? How much will it cost you to engage labor? You remember, we have mentioned those three times. How much will it cost to engage unskilled labor? How much will it cost you to engage the very skilled labor and the semi-skilled? Then you have to bring in the issue of training also there. You may need to train those who are unskilled. That also falls under the cost of labor. What laws govern the employment of labor? As a country, we have laws that govern labor issues. It's not a matter of just calling someone, you come here, and they start working for you. There are laws that govern how you can engage somebody to work for you. There are do's and don'ts that you need to follow. Okay, so there is a law that governs labor. For example, here in Zambia, you are not supposed to engage minors. Child labor is not allowed here in Zambia. So you have to understand that in that area where you are, in Zambia, there are certain things that you cannot do in the line of engaging labor. What would be, who will be in charge of management functions? This one, we are going back to the organization structure. The organization structure will show you who is actually in charge. There are those who will be in charge of administration, the others will be in charge of production, the others will be in charge of sales. That is the way you organize your structure. It will actually point out who will be in charge of what at what particular time. So that is looking at the human resource. Here you are going around the people who are going to be engaged in your project. Thank you.
Well, dear learners, we are still looking at identifying and mobilizing resources. We have looked at the first thing, which is resource identification. And we are now looking at resource mobilization. My colleague has given us the first type of resource, which is human resource. Let's follow each other very carefully. The second type of resource, which we are going to mention in detail, is raw materials. Raw materials. And I'll be able to give you another type of example that is going to be practical, which some of the small businesses, such as the cooperative that you have formed, would want to go into. And I'll share this idea. We are here as a platform to share ideas that are practical. So, for instance, your cooperative may want to go into the business of processing. Do we know that all the stock feed that is sold in Solwezi comes from outside Solwezi, outside the province? Did we know that we don't have a single feed making plant in Northwestern Province? So all the stock feeds that we are feeding either our animals or our birds, our chickens, will come from either Lusaka or the Copper Belt. That is an opportunity for that cooperative. So as you identify those resources, you need now to mobilize them. Mobilize the raw materials that you are going to need in that processing business. And I'll give you a very live and solid examples. So you want to go into processing. You want to make your stock feed. What are some of the raw materials that you're going to need? That is the first question that you're going to ask. What types of raw materials would be required? Are they available in sufficient quantities? So if you want to make chicken feed, you are going to need maize. You're going to need some soybeans. You're going to need some other chemicals. Question is, are those raw materials like maize readily available in the Northwestern Province? The answer is 100% yes, they are available. What is the source of these raw materials? Where can you get maize in Northwestern Province? You will get your maize from farmers in Solwezi. You will get your maize from farmers in Kasempa district and other districts in the province. There is a lot of maize that comes from this province, which we sell to either FRA or we sell it to the millers. Some of those cooperatives can apply for funds, the CDF funds as one of the sources of funds, and begin to buy maize and soybeans for processing. So we are talking about materials, raw materials These are the materials that you are going to need in that manufacturing business or any other business. It can be manufacturing in carpentry. You need the planks, the wood. You need the nails. You need the glue. You need the upholstery material to make that sofa. These, dear learners, are the raw materials that will be required for that particular type of business that you want to do. So what is the source of these materials? We have answered that question to say, if it is maize, you are going to get it from the farmers. If it is timber, you are going to get it from, those timber dealers that will go and cut the wood for you. Hardwood is found in Northwestern Province. Softwood is found on the Copperbelt Province. How reliable are these sources? How accessible are these raw materials? Well, maize is very, very much reliable. Soybeans is another area where we need to increase our production if we are going to go into processing. You can go into the processing of maize. If you have access to Chavuma district, if you have access to Zambezi district, there is rice there. Chavuma rice, Zambezi rice, very nice variety. You as a cooperative can begin to process rice. So you can buy your hammer mill, your special chigayo, which can be shelling the rice, packaging the rice, and you can patent it and get all the necessary paperwork. And you can find your rice can be found on the chain store shelves. There is Mongo rice in ShopRite. There is Chama rice in ShopRite. You cooperatives in Northwestern Province, you can have this opportunity of packaging and making sure that Chavuma rice and Zambezi rice is labeled well and is found in ShopRite, Pick and Pay, Choppies, and other chain stores that will come up. Raw materials that you need will make you to process your cooking oil. As a cooperative, you can process cooking oil from sunflower, from soybeans, and I'm told even from maize. So you can process your fruits and vegetables. Your chilies can be processed into chili concentrate, and you can supply it to Trade Kings. You can process your meat. Your pork can be processed, and you can supply the butcheries. You can process your goat meat. You can process your fish. You can process your honey. So we are giving you those live examples. So we are saying raw materials are another part that you need in resource mobilization. And you'll be asking yourself what the price is. Is the price stable? Is the price affordable? The answer is yes, maize is affordable in this province. Soybeans is affordable. They are competitive, so you can buy them at a competitive price.
Thank you. The next segment is machinery and equipment. This was identified as one of the resources that we need. I was giving an example of some contractor who wants to build a road. We are saying that person who wants to build a road will need equipment and machinery. Talk of things like graders, bulldozers, and, the compactors. Those are the types of machinery that a road contractor will require for him to actually meet his objective. Now, do you have, as the project, as a contractor, do you have this resource available? That's what you should ask yourself. Where will I find graders? Where will I find compactors? Where will I find bulldozers? Are they readily available in your area of operation? How durable are they? Yesterday, I was giving an example of some road contractor who actually, hired a machine. It's a bulldozer, which up to now, it's parked. I will not mention the area, but it's within Solwezi. It has been parked there for more than 5 years. And that road was never completed. And you can imagine. That's why you have to ask yourself this question: where will I find reliable machinery? Is it readily available in my area? How, how cost effective is it? If you look at the machinery versus labor. But of course, someone who is doing a road, gone are the days where we only use the hose and the axes. This time you need actually the right machinery. And I'm sure the people who give these contracts emphasize always to say, do you have this kind of machinery? So that we, at the end of it all, have a good, job done. So you need to find out where to get this equipment. Are you going to buy if you have the resources? Or are you going to hire? At what cost? Those are the questions that you should be asking yourself. And if you are going to hire, how reliable is that machine that you are hiring? Very important. So you need to actually examine this and make sure that you get the rightful equipment and the rightful machinery, which can help you achieve your goal. We have some companies actually within who have these machines for hire. Those you can go to them and find out how much it would cost you to hire their machines and whether their machines are readily available, roadworthy, that they can do the job without breaking down along the way. So that is the issue of machinery.
Great. So, dear learners, we have looked at, we are still under resource mobilization. We have looked at mobilizing human resource. We have looked at raw materials. We have looked at machinery and equipment. And we are now going to look at financial resources. Under financial resources, we are going to ask ourselves two questions. The first question we're going to ask is, what is the total cost of the project? That question is very, very important. Again, we are very passionate about the newly formed cooperatives, the newly formed clubs, the small businesses who would like to access CDF and other kinds of finances. You need to ask yourself, this kind of project that we want to do, what will the total cost of the project be? And for you to answer that question accurately will require you to, first of all, understand the project properly. You need to understand the project very well, and you need to plan for the project very, very well. So as you are planning, one of the most important aspects of that cooperative that you have formed is to have knowledge in financial literacy. You need financial literacy. You need financial management and planning. So that will involve the ability to budget. You need to be able to put up a budget. You itemize the items or the things that are required, for example, in that processing business. So you itemize them. How much are we going to need to buy that machine that is going to be pressing cooking oil from sunflower and soybeans? So you need the cost of that machine. You need the cost of labor. You need the cost of the raw materials themselves, the sunflower, the soybeans, the maize. How much are you going to need to pay for transport? How much are you going to need to rent that building, to pay for electricity, to pay for water? So you are looking at itemizing those things, and you're saying you want to come up with what the total cost of the project is. When you establish the total cost, for example, that small processing plant of that cooperative is going to cost you 150,000 kwacha to set up. The second question you have to answer is, how do you intend to finance the project? Where are you going to get the funds or the money to finance the project? Are you going to make contributions as members of that 20-team cooperative to finance the project? Or are you going to get empowerment funds as a grant? Which source? Is it from the council CDF project? Or is it from other development partners? Or are you going to get a bank loan? What is the source of income? So how do you intend to finance that project? So financial resources are very important to a project, and it is very important that as the owner of that small business, as the owners of that limited company, as the owners of that cooperative, as the owners of that youth club, as the owners of that women's group, you should answer the two most important questions. Number one, what is the total cost of the project? By itemizing what will actually be needed in that project. Don't leave out anything when you are planning. And then it will help you to answer the second question, how do you intend to finance the project? One tip we want to share with you under this item of how you intend to finance the project is that you need, when you are coming up with a budget where you want to ask for financing, don't leave out anything, so that when you are given those funds, whether it is a grant or whether it is a loan, you are going to cost it correctly and you are not going to undercost it. What happens is when you leave out certain things, you are going to undercost the project, and the project will still have challenges. So for instance, you have costed machinery, you have costed the raw materials, you have costed the rent, but you have left out the labor. when it comes to that time of paying that loan, you are going to find that you'll be having challenges because you didn't cost the labor, and the money that you are generating from the project, which is supposed to go back towards repayment of the loan, will be going towards labor, and you find that the project will have a shortage of finances. So please let us include everything that is needed for a particular project to run efficiently. So we have looked at financial resources.
The next segment is land, which is very important. As we said in our opening remarks, we are saying everything actually happens on land. All businesses actually happen on land, be it a farm or agriculture, you do it on land. Or is it a grocery, you do that on land, because that shop will be built on land. Now, you must ask yourself this question: where would this project be? On which land? Where? Is it in Kazomba? If it is in Kazomba, where about in Kazomba? On whose land? Is that land rented, or you are going to own that particular piece of land? Where and how would land be acquired? You must actually interrogate that. Explain how you are going to get that particular land. Are you going to buy that land, buy it off someone, or are you going to apply to the council for that land? Or is it you are going to ask from the chiefs so that they give you the traditional land? So there are so many ways of addressing that issue of land. But you must make sure that there is a security of tenure. There is no fun into going on a piece of land, then just at the time when your crops are growing, then the owner comes and says, I think you need to leave. I want to do something here. Because you don't have that security of tenure, and you will have to move out, because after all, it's not your land. So you need to make sure that when you get that piece of land, there should be security of tenure. It should be yours, or you have rented that one and you are in a contract, an agreement for how long you are going to be on that piece of land. So very important. Make sure that you identify where you are going to have this project. You identify how that place will be. Is it your own, or is it a rented premises or a rented piece of land? Then you also explain how you are going to acquire that land and the security of tenure. So that is about land. We have seen so many people. I think if you have been reading, you have been listening to news, some people have had their very beautiful structures demolished. Why? Because there was no security of tenure. That piece of land was not theirs. They just went into that and built. Some were duped. Some people gave them fake papers and they went ahead and built. So now you as an entrepreneur, please make sure that whenever you start dealing in issues of land, make sure that these are correctly done and you are getting this piece of land from the correct people who have the authority, so that you avoid being embarrassed at the end of it. Okay, that is land. I'm sure we have exhausted all the five um, resources. Now there are five. Maybe we go on the next segment, which is the method of resource mobilization.
Okay. Thank you very much, dear learners. I'm sure we are following each other. Just like my colleague has said, we have now exhausted the different types of resources and we have attempted to explain them with examples. We have looked at human resource, the people that are required to work on that particular project in that business. The members of the cooperative, those are human resource. The workers that you're going to need. We've looked at raw materials, the actual materials that are required for you to do that processing, whether it is fertilizer or whether it is the fully grown grain. Those are the raw materials that you need. We've looked at machinery, that oil pressing machine, that mixer that you need for your construction project, whatever machinery that you're talking about. It can be a tractor. Excuse me. That is an example of machinery. We have looked at financial resources, which is talking about the money. We have looked at land, which my colleague has explained in detail and how important that land is. Let us now look at the methods of resource mobilization. And at 9:30 exactly, we have 9 minutes to go. At 9:30 exactly, we're going to open the phone lines. So please, from the time we started our introduction up to where we are now, write down the questions. Write down the questions. And when we open the phone lines, we'll just ask you to send us a missed call. You don't need to phone us. You can send us a missed call. We will call you back for the benefit of everyone who is listening. We're going to endeavor to answer your questions. Methods of resource mobilization. Now, all the resources which entrepreneurs need in order to implement their activities can be purchased with money. Therefore, all entrepreneurs need money so that they can operate in an effective manner. Money can be accessed or acquired in one or more of the following. In other words, we are saying money can be acquired in very many ways, in different ways, in various ways. But the few examples I'm going to give are adequate for the purpose of this lesson. The first way in which you can raise money is by owner contribution. This means raising your own resources to start a business or to expand that business or even to diversify that business. Again, I'm going to give you the example of the cooperatives that you have formed. A cooperative can have even as many as 20 members. Maybe the maximum can be about 50. So you can have a cooperative of 50 members. Now, all those 50 members can make a contribution towards that particular business. And let me encourage you, dear learners and those that are in cooperatives. A cooperative is a business like any other business. And now we are more enlightened with information and knowledge about how the cooperative model should be run. We have moved away from using a cooperative just to access farming inputs through the programs that we call FISP, Farmer Input Support Program. A cooperative is a business. There are cooperatives which have been very successful. For example, let me talk about one cooperative outside the country. Sisu of Finland started as a cooperative, and many other car companies started as cooperatives. So your cooperative can be a bank, your cooperative can be a processing plant, your cooperative can have a fleet of buses, your cooperative can have aeroplanes. There is no limitation to what a cooperative can do. So I would like to encourage you, dear learners, that if you're in a cooperative or a club or even a savings group, you can dream big and you can do big things. There are many savings groups now that have been formed. You can formalize that savings group into a cooperative, and you can use it as a way of owner contributions as you raise those resources. So we are saying the first way in which you can raise financial resources, the first method is owner contribution. So members of that cooperative or that club can make contributions every month to raise a certain amount of money. So for example, you can say, we are a group of farmers and we have formed a savings group. We are 50 farmers in this savings group. And every month, everyone is going to buy shares of 500 kwacha each. That means every month, you will be able to raise 25,000 kwacha. And in 12 months, you can raise 300,000 kwacha. That is a lot of money that you can use to start that processing business, that small scale honey processing business, that small scale rice processing business, cooking oil processing business. So the first way of contributing, of raising funds, is owner contribution. The second way is loans. These can be obtained from either friends, banks, or other financial institutions. And for the sake of doing business, and if you are a formalized entity, it is advisable that you acquire your financing from a reputable lending institution, an institution that is trained and is skilled in the area of packaging your financing. So loans can be acquired from financial institutions and even other institutions that have come on board now, such as financing partners that are funded by certain governments. So the third way of resource mobilization is donor support. Donor support. This includes support through various government ministries. Okay, donor support. We can call CDF, one of the components of CDF is the aspect of grants. There will be grants that will be given through CDF. It has been divided into several parts and will not dwell so much in that. But you can get your support from local government, from foreign government donor support. For example, if you have heard of an organization called Prospero. Prospero is a UK-funded organization. It is based in Lusaka, Zambia, and it gives grants as well as concessional loans. Now, a concessional loan is simply a loan that has better terms and structures than the ordinary loans that you obtain from a bank. So a concessional loan has maybe better interest rates, and it can be stretched over a longer period of time, like let's say 7 years. That's a concessional loan. The reason why we are encouraging you, cooperatives, small businesses, to join the chamber is that through our cooperating partners, by the way, the chamber has signed an MOU with Prospero so that financing and other services can be acquired for our members. We signed 2 weeks ago an MOU with a company from South Africa called Tysis. We signed an MOU with Inde Credit, a company owned by Kukula Capital. So all these are coming on board to bring financing to the small businesses. Join the chamber. So you get your financing from CDF, and you can get your financing from Prospero. You can get your financing from DFID and many other institutions. So there are 3 ways in which you can mobilize your resources, your financial resources. Number 1, owner contribution. Number 2, loans. Number 3, donor support. Well, dear learners, the time is 9:32. Our phone lines are open. The number to dial is 0978 383 141. Send us a missed call on 0978 383 141. I have seen that there is a message that has come through, and the question is, okay, this question has come from Mr. Kamau. The question is, what are the conditions of joining the chamber? Okay, I'll be able to answer that one, Mr. Kamau, the conditions of joining the chamber. But there is a call coming, and I'm going to endeavor to call back. There is a call coming. Okay. I think this call was actually coming for something else. Please dial 0978 383 141. Joining the chamber for a very small business, we have now introduced what we are calling the micro enterprise category, where all you need is to have your certificate of registration, whether you are a cooperative or you are a company, and your valid tax clearance certificate. That's all you need. Come with your company profile, with your attachment of your certificate of registration, and also a tax clearance from ZRA. Visit our office at the chamber. We are located at Kunzubo Complex in Mushtala, and you will be helped. The annual subscription fee is 500 kwacha only, but the benefits are huge. That is a category we have introduced for the sake of empowering the local businesses that are from Northwestern Province should join that category so that we can help you to grow to become small, medium enterprises. I hope I've answered that question, Mr. Kamau. The number to dial is 0978 383 141. As we wait for callers, my colleague will take us to the next segment.
Thank you so much. The next segment is how to mobilize resources for a small business. How can you, as a small business, mobilize resources? The first thing to do is to make sure that you start with small amounts and multiply. You can start using owner contribution, which is very important. Start small. In short, we are saying start small. As a small business, you start small, then grow along the way. Second is to be willing to engage in odd jobs to raise resources. You, as an entrepreneur, you must be willing to engage in these small jobs so that you raise resources. Odd jobs are small jobs, like maybe you are slashing somebody's backyard. That is important. That little money that you are going to raise from there will go a long way. You can plow that one in your business. That's an example of some small odd jobs. You can do somebody's books of accounts. That is also an odd, short jobs. You need to engage in multiple tasks as business owners. As a business owner, instead of at that moment employing somebody to do your selling, to do your marketing, to do your planning, engage into these multiple tasks. You do it yourself. You plan. You do the marketing yourself. You sell. In short, we are saying you work hard. That will be saving some little amounts, which you would have used to pay the people who are doing these tasks. So engage in multiple tasks, get busy so that you don't spend much money. If you are a poultry farmer like me, you go into the poultry yourself, feed your chickens, give them the water. If at that time you are not able to engage someone to do it for you. So you engage into those tasks. Team up with others to execute certain projects and raise more resources. It is very important to team up with other people, because when you team up with others, even ideas become many. Okay, you help each other, in doing that particular project. We have been talking about partnerships. This is one way of doing it. You can partner with others and do that particular project. When you partner, it means even your capital base grows. This one brings some little money with whatever you have brought also. Add that together. It grows the amount of capital that you are going to use in that particular project. You do a lot of networking. Network, you see. discuss with other people, find out what are the others doing. That is one way of mobilizing resources as a small business. So here we are saying you network, work with others. You also invite others to team up with you so that you increase the capital base and you even increase ideas. You engage in multiple tasks. Do some of these jobs instead of looking forward to employing other people. You can do it yourself so that you save some money. And be willing to engage in odd jobs to raise resources. Do some jobs in order to raise some money. Most importantly, also start small. As a small business, you start small and then grow as you go along. Thank you. You can add.
Well, dear learners, you have heard for yourselves how to mobilize resources for a small business. The number to dial is 0978 383 141. Send us a missed call, and we are going to endeavor to call you back to receive your question, and we shall answer that question. You know, some of these points that my colleague has given you are very, very important. As a small business, start small. We have a mentoring program that we are doing under this same sponsorship of Kansanshi Mining PLC. So we visit small business owners that have gone through this program or those that are still going through the program. And we have established a lot of success stories. A lot of success stories. A lot of businesses have started small. Some businesses started with as little as 500 kwacha. And today, they are quite big. Some of them are worth more than 20,000 kwacha. It takes you knowledge and starting small. There are some businesses who have never acquired a loan, but they have simply grown that 500 kwacha, applied the knowledge that they have acquired from this training program, and today they are quite big and doing very well. So we need to start very small. You know, the issue of doing odd jobs is also very important. We need to remove that mentality of fear of being laughed at. They will laugh at me when they see me selling at the market. I am a practical example. Yes, I may have a certain standing, maybe in the society. People look up to me, managing director, Fortune World, president of the chamber. But you will find me sometimes selling from my light truck. I'll be parked at Kiawama there, selling my chilies, selling my impwa, lifting those bags. You will find me dirty, collecting the money from my customers, our mothers, the marketeers, interacting at that level. You need to be very flexible in this world of doing business. So don't lock yourself up in a certain class. Be flexible. If it means you yourself as the proprietor of that business, if you want to raise money and it means you going to camp in Kiafukuma, in the farms, you are going to buy maybe Solezi beans or Irish potatoes, and you're going to camp for a week. If it means camping, go and camp. If it means, hiring those motorbikes so that they can take you in the bush where you can go and camp in those villages, do that. Because some of those roads are impassable. You can't go there with a car. In our local language, we'll say removing Fimeko so that you can raise those funds as a small business person. There is money in this province. There is money in this country. And small business people have opportunities to do what the big businesses cannot do. So you as a small business person can go and camp in Zambezi, go and get those goats, get them, bring them to your farm, fatten them, raise them for months, take them to Kasumbalesa and sell them. Or get them slaughtered and supply a butchery. There is so much we can do in this province and in this country. There's so much we can do in this continent. My colleague said, team up with others. There is power of teaming up. There is power in teaming up. The reason why we are envying our colleagues from Asian countries, the reason why they have taken over Kamwala, the reason why they have taken over Ndola, the reason why they are taking over Solwezi is because they have teamed up. They team up in terms of putting money together. They send one person to go and buy goods, maybe hardware stuff from China. They put money together. Maybe they are 100. And this one gives him 1 million kwacha. And so one person goes with 100 million for 100 people, buys what they want, one plane ticket, one container, and it comes and it distributes to the shops. And that's how our friends are taking over. Let us learn to work together as Northwestern entrepreneurs, as Zambian entrepreneurs, if we are going to succeed in business. There is power in teaming up. Then the aspect of networking. The reason why we encourage you to join the chamber is that you will also benefit from networking. You will be exposed to the big and the medium and the small. You will learn a lot. You will interact with those businesses that can give you business. You will also learn, from the experts, presentations. You will know about markets. You will know about trade missions. There are so many things. There is power in information. Networking is very, very important. And that is why we are encouraging you, whether you are a cooperative, you are not too small to join the chamber. And I'm sure we're going to work very well with my development partners, our counselors, because they are very, very strategic and they command a lot of respect. Please refer the cooperatives to the chamber. The chamber has a lot of packages for the small business people. And anyone else, you may not be a cooperative, you may be a business name, join the chamber so that we can actually facilitate your growth. Dear learners, we still have 11 minutes to go. The phone lines are still open. 0978 383 141 is the number to dial. Send us a missed call, and we are going to endeavor to call you back. Write down the question, send us a missed call. Or if you can't go through, you can send us a text message. But send us a missed call because we have been given talk time. The talk time is paid for by the sponsor. So we need to call you back so that we can get your questions. And when we get your questions on air, we are going to benefit many others that are listening in. You can even send your questions, those who are following online, send us your questions online. Send us your questions to our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is Fortune World Investments Ltd. Fortune World Investments Ltd. Okay? So, dear learners, I can see that there is a missed call that has come. Let me call back and we can get this question. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from? Fine. How are you? Your name and where you're calling us from? Okay. Please, your question, Kelvin. Okay. You want to find out where our offices are? Okay. Thank you very much, Kelvin. You don't have any question. Have you been following the training? Okay. Don't you have any questions regarding anything that you need clarified? Okay. Thank you so much. I'll be able to answer that. Thank you. Okay. The number to dial is 0978 383 141. We have 8 minutes to go. We are in the dying minutes of the program. So Kelvin is asking where we are located. Our office is located at the Ministry of Agriculture Yard. Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives Yard, next to Zanaco. Just come through IFAD Yard, former IFAD Yard. I think some of you may know it as former IFAD Yard, but it is the Ministry of Agriculture Yard next to Zanaco. Come through there. When you enter the gate, there's an office on the right. That is where you're going to find our people there. 0978 383 141. Send us your missed call. You can even send us your questions on Facebook. I can see that there is a missed call coming. There's a call coming. I hope it's related to the training. Okay. Let me call back this number so that we can get their question. Okay, the number to dial is 0978 383 141. Send us that missed call, and we are going to endeavor to call you back. Send us that missed call. Okay. In conclusion, we are saying that in order for an entrepreneur, it is important that they appreciate that business does not always start with a lot of money. We have already said that you can start small. But what is very, very important is to have, first of all, a good business idea. When you have a good business idea, that must be your starting point. There are a lot of small businesses that started their businesses without money at all, or with little money. They only had a very good business idea, and they put that idea to work, and after that, they began to grow their business. So it's very, very important that we have a very good business idea. When we have a good business idea, the next thing that you need to have is a plan. You need to have a plan on how you are going to execute that business. That is why we encourage you, dear learners, to learn, to follow us. Learn business planning. We will show you how to budget for the purpose of your business. We will share with you knowledge on how you can come up with a simple business plan. Your simple business plan is going to show your business idea. It is going to show you, it is going to have a component of your targeted market, the areas of risk and risk mitigation, the budget itself, your cash flow, which is going to show how money will be going into the business and coming out of the business. So it is very important to have a plan. And secondly, you need to be very determined. Determination to do that business. Remember, there is a topic that we shared with you. The first topic was changing the mindset. Remove the mindset of fear and doubt. Fear of the unknown has made many potential business people not to even start at all. But when you are determined, you can do anything. I can tell you, dear learners, there is no business you cannot do. If you want to start an airline business, you can start. But you start with small steps. If you want to be manufacturing chicken feed in Northwestern Province, you can. If you want to start a fish hatchery business, a chicken hatchery business in Northwestern Province, as the first one, you can. There's so much you can do. There's a lot you can do. Small businesses have got a place in this economy. They are the ones that are going to fill the space that cannot be filled by large businesses. Large businesses have got areas of specialty. Small businesses can be flexible. You need determination and you need hard work. Business is for the hardworking. Work hard in ensuring that you set up the business, you supervise your business, you supervise your production, if it's a farm or whatever it is that you're doing, you supervise the marketing, and make sure that you are involved in every stage of your business. Then you need a lot of discipline. Discipline in terms of time management, discipline in terms of financial management. Be there for your business. Put in a lot of working hours. Be disciplined in the area of expenditure. And you will definitely succeed in your business. Well, dear learners, we have looked at 5 segments of our business today, of this lesson. We introduced the business by introducing what resources are. We identified resources. We looked at resource mobilization. Then we have looked at the types of resources. We explained in detail. We have identified and mobilized, looked at identifying and mobilizing resources. We have looked at how to mobilize resources for a small business. And in our conclusion, we are saying we need, as entrepreneurs, to appreciate that business does not always start with a lot of money, but you need a good business idea. You need to be determined. You need to be hardworking and very disciplined. Well, the time is 10 hours on the dot, and we have come to the end of our training for today. Let me thank our